Welcome to ROF, Consultors Independence. An GFI company. Welcome to the timesheet tutorial. Timesheet is the tool that ROF uses to register times in all of its projects. Every activity conducted in ROF has a project associated to it. This way it is easy to understand where times and costs are being allocated. To access the timesheet tool, first you need to go on the extranet service on https://service.rof.pt. It starts off simple with a login panel. Type in your username. Type in your password. To keep your session logged in at all times, check this box. In case you have forgotten your password, you need to click here. After you get past the login panel, you will get to the extranet panel. This panel covers all areas that you have access to, including the area explained in this tutorial, the timesheet. To access the timesheet tool, you must press on the link to access it. After you have clicked on timesheet, you will be forwarded to the timesheet panel. To facilitate this tutorial, we will divide the panel into 5 sections, and will explain each of them and how they interact. In the first section, you have by default the current month and year. And in this section, you can select in which project you wish to register times. To get started, first you need to select the client from the client box, and only afterwards you will be able to select the project from the project. After you have selected the project by clicking on it from the project box, it will be added to the third section of the timesheet panel. You need to bear in mind that if you wish to register times in a project that you still have yet to be granted access to, you need to ask that project's manager authorization. This can be done by clicking in the authorization request button, and then the following pop-up menu will appear. After you have selected the client and project you wish to be granted access to register times, the following message will appear. And you have a text box in which you can add a message to the project manager. Click on the button and you receive a message of success. Considering you are authorized to register times in at least one project, it is time to learn how you can do such registry. After you have selected the client and project, 3 new fields will appear. In the first one, you can select a time frame to save a constant amount of hours. For example, if you already know you will work 8 hours a day for a whole week in a given project, you can select from the day you will start until the day you will stop and register 8 hours. This is to avoid the need to fill out individual records for each day for the very same project. Be aware that if there are differences such as workplace, type of hour or etc., you need to register 2 separate records. The second field has a similar functionality, although instead of hours, you can register any per diems you have during a given time frame. Again, the purpose is to avoid the need to fill out individual records. For example, if you are traveling a whole week, and are entitled to per diems for each day, you can register the per diems selecting the day you leave and the day you before your return. When you click on Save Interval or Save Allowances, a pop-up message will appear asking you if you wish to add those records to your timesheet. If you click OK, those records will be added and automatically saved to your timesheet log, completing your records shown in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th section. Section 2 Favorites. If you select Add to Favorites in the first section, you will add that project to your favorites list. This will add a new favorite on the second section of the timesheet panel. There you can find a very simple tool to browse your favorites. It comes really handy if you only have a handful of projects where you register times. Here you can select from your favorites list the project in which you wish to register any records. Browse from your favorites list. To select a project from your favorites list and add it to the third section where you can register times, you need to press the button with the and sign. To remove a project from your favorites list, you have to click on X button. The Help on Correction Requests link opens a pop-up help file with instructions on how to file a request to correct past hours. English version at the bottom of that help file. Adding hours to your log. So as you have seen so far, there are two ways to add a project to the third section. Just by selecting it on the first section or adding it from your favorites. The third section is where you can select individual records of time to add and update your timesheet record. Name of the client you are registering hours in. Name of the project you are registering hours in. Clicking on the arrows, left-right, allows you to scroll through the days of the month. The last row of this table shows you the total amount of hours you have registered for each of the days displayed. You can scroll through the days on your timesheet with the arrows on the top of the third section, but you should be aware that every time you scroll left or right you will scroll 10 days in your timesheet. In other words, the records shown are always in intervals of 10 days. Click to remove this row. If you click the X button on the left side of the table, you will erase that entire row of records for that project. Select the amount of hours you wish to register in a project or several projects. After you have selected it, you need to update the records, so you need to press the Update the Table Below button. This will not only update the fourth section, but the third and fifth section as well. Bear in mind that the third section only allows you to add hours. To perform any changes in your records you must do it on the fourth section, which you will see later on this tutorial. If you already have hours registered in a given project, they will appear on both sections. Changing hours on your log. Next, you can see how the records appear on the fourth section of the timesheet panel and how to change and duplicate records shown in this table. Showing interactive functionality works, and afterwards you have each of them explained in detail. To simplify, only one row of data and the Save button will be displayed. Duplicate this record. This first button allows you to create a copy of that record, although in order to save it you must perform some kind of change in it. There is no use for two records with the exact same information. This is handy if you need to create a record on the same project but change the type of hours you want to register, or the workplace, or even the issue phase training number if you have any. The X removes this entry from the hour log. The corresponding date for that record. The amount of hours box is where you can select the amount of hours for that entry. You can have multiple entries for the same date, since they may be from different projects, issue phase training numbers, and type of hours or workplaces. Designation of the client and project name. You can change the type of hours in the Type of Hours box. For instance, some hours may be learning on job customer does not pay and others normal, and they might be from the same project, but you must have two separate logs, each with its corresponding hours. You can also register any per diem for a given day if applicable. You can write any customer notes or internal notes. Click on this link to alternate between writing customer notes and internal notes. This field allows you to type in the number of the issue phase training and register it in the timesheet if you have any, otherwise leave it blank. Bear in mind that some projects oblige you to fill in this field. The workplace box allows you to change the workplace where you worked. For example, you might spend 4 hours working in the office, and 4 hours of that same day working on the client's premises, in the same project. Keep in mind that you can only register hours on the workplaces defined for that project. The total row gives you the total amount of hours of the records shown in the designated time frame. Lastly, to save all changes made to the hour log, you must press the Save button, otherwise all changes will be lost. The last section on this tutorial, the fifth one, is the calendar. The calendar is updated with the changes you perform on your time log. These changes might come from when you save a given time interval of records on section 1, or when you click the Save button on the end of the fourth section. The numbers change colors corresponding to the amount of hours registered for that day. Green, day with 8 hours registered. Red, day with less than 8 hours registered, on days prior Black Day with less than 8 hours registered, on days subsequent to the actual date. Blue, weekends and local holidays with registered hours, or days with more than 8 hours registered. Gray, weekends and local holidays without registered hours. Yellow, incorrect day, there is information lacking. Thanks for your time. For any question please contact ricardo.carnero@rof.pt.